Well, welcome everyone who is attending. I know we're missing some folks because of the CASTA conference and Laura is on vacation. So we're gonna probably be short and sweet today. But thank you, Melissa, for having the agenda up and helping me out always. So we're gonna, let's see, we'll call it to order at 9:34. If we motion, we don't have a quorum to approve the agenda. So we can let the minutes reflect that we will approve the agenda and the minutes next time. Is that correct, Melissa?
Yep,
and then
great. Yep.
If we do get someone in the middle, we'll come back to it. So why don't we do first any public comments?
Nope, no public comments. You're okay.
Okay. So let's go around, introduce ourselves, and then you should feel free to take this time to talk about training or information sharing or any activities, things going on in your world. And I'm just going to go down the list and then I'll come back to Melissa at the end if you have any updates. But let's start with Deanna on the iPhone, if she's not too stressed with the airport.
No, good morning. Deanna Rumsey. I'm the advocacy specialist at the Independence Center.
Okay, great.
And we are gearing up to roll into legislative stuff, so elections.
Okay, great. Sorry, I cut you off there because I couldn't hear very well. So yeah, awesome. Thank you for that update. Let's go to Mark.
Yes, this is Mark with Fountain Valley Senior Center. And we're here.
I did, and I took them. I went back.
Great. We're glad you're here.
You know what?
You have any? Are you guys doing the trunk or treat this year again?
We are doing the trunk or treat on the 28th of October, 1 to 3 in the afternoon.
Oh, that's okay.
Awesome. We were there last year. I really thought it was a lot of fun.
So that they don't have such a headache.
Okay. Thanks, Mark. Let's see. Then I have Paul with the Independence Center.
Hello, my name's Paul. I'm the AT specialist here at the Independence Center. I guess I would like to say we are looking at getting a computer lab here in, well, the start of it. We're just on the starts right now. So we'll have something in here and up and going by the end of October. But it's just the very beginning of it, and then hopefully by the beginning of next year we'll get the rest of it in.
Awesome. I'm sure that is a very big need that people have. Awesome. Okay, Jared Berner.
Welcome. Good morning, Jared Berner. I'm the new public information officer for PPACG. So just kind of wanted to listen in. Yes, Melissa. So yeah, I'm kind of just listening in and getting exposed to as many of the different work groups and committees and everything that makes up PPACG, as well as the Pikes Peak area PPA, the AAA. There we go. I'm trying to get my acronyms right. But good to meet everybody. Hopefully I'm not going to be a stranger on these meetings.
Awesome. Thanks, Jared. We're glad to have you. And yeah, feel free to give any feedback or information that you want to share later. Okay, then we have Chelsea.
Hey everybody, Chelsea Gondak, Director of Planning and Mobility for the Colorado Springs Downtown Partnership. No specific programming items to share. I am just in the thick of a bunch of projects that we're trying to get wrapped up by the end of this year.
Hey Chelsea, speaking of projects,
yes.
Any, and this kind of goes for the Independence Center too in some ways, but any collaborations, any work with October as Arts Month and looking at planning and mobility around Arts Month? Anything exciting happening with that for October?
Not anything specific that I have. I know some information will be coming out in our newsletter, and I can certainly push Michelle to get information to this group if that's desired, but nothing that I'm intimately involved with.
Because I know last year, Laura and I spent some time sharing with some of the long-term care communities about Arts Month. And we actually entertained the idea of trying to organize some specific transportation rides to get to some events, which included riding the Mountain Metro and other things. So, you know, Arts Month is just a really cool opportunity for people to get out and explore some activities and hopefully use transportation resources to get there.
Yeah, I know a lot of the different events that we're coordinating on will be live on our website soon, if not already, but I'll poke my head into Michelle's office after this and share that information with her.
Hey, thanks.
So the Independence Center is doing the Art of Accessibility next Friday. So from 5 to 7, we'll be doing those pieces at the Independence Center. So that's what we're doing for Arts Month.
And that is next Friday, which would be, is that first Friday? No, it's not.
Yes.
It is. No, it's the 7th.
Yeah, first Friday is the 7th. So not this coming Friday, but the following.
And that's when you're doing it, Deanna, is on October 7th, right?
Yes, ma'am. I believe so. Paul, is that accurate? Because that's what I thought I had on my calendar, but I'm en route. So I think it's next Friday from 5 to 7.
Very cool.
I don't know, but let me see if it's on my calendar. Hang on.
And that would make sense if it is.
Yes, it's on. It is next Friday from 5 to 7.
Super.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys. Okay.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Thanks, Chelsea, for your update. Jacob, last but not least.
Jacob Matson, Mountain Metro Transit. We rolled out our fall service change effective 2 days ago on Sunday. Lots of additional services. However, due to the current driver shortage issues, we're not able to roll everything out. Kind of right now for the weekdays though, kind of the, I guess, shiniest spot is several of our routes, and check our website for a listing. It'd take me a while to name them all off, but we have several more routes that go into the evening on weekdays that have not done so in the past. Unfortunately, we've had to reduce a little bit of frequency to keep all of our routes going. So we have a couple of routes that the frequency had to be reduced as of today to keep it going due to the ongoing driver shortage. And then weekend service also has some very significant increases, but once again, those we'll enroll those. We have a plan to enroll those as drivers come available for the different routes that are now operating on Saturday and Sunday that had not in the past. So,
Jacob,
Thanks,
did you say? Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Did you say that there were more options heading east? Did I hear that at the beginning?
No, I was referring to frequency.
Okay, so
frequency reductions. We didn't add any more options going east.
Okay, but then some more options on weekends coming.
Yeah. Okay. As soon as drivers are available, and it's just a hit we've been taking for now 2 years, 2+ years actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do what you can. So I'm glad that there's more frequencies, but yeah, like we get that. Thank you. And then Melissa, did you have anything to add?
I don't, not a whole lot. I think Laura is super pleased with all the work that everyone did around the projected programming following that needs assessment work. And she's really looking forward to, continuing that and getting that project and outreach up and running. And so kudos to the older adults who actually took time to write letters of support, as well as the organizations that did it too. So just kind of a really, exciting couple of months ahead of us when we work to actually launch those efforts. So, and I think that's probably all I've got.
Okay, awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so it looks like we don't have action items or membership appointments. We can't vote on that anyway. So we are going to hopefully hear from Envita in October because they're at CASTA right now. So we can kind of push them to October to talk more about what's new with them and the fact that they took over coach transportation. And then Jacob, do you have an update on the fare free August?
Sure, yeah, and I can also give an additional update next month because it's nice to compare the previous with the month that comes after. I mean, just kind of see what it did and to see if people hung on and stayed using the service. But just kind of a brief update. We do consider it a success. We had a fairly significant increase in the number of ridership. So to do a comparison, it's hard to compare year to year during COVID because every year has kind of been different. So kind of looking at just this year, going from July to August, we went from right around 218,000 trips. This is our fixed route, 218,000 trips on fixed route, increased to 303,000 trips on fixed route, which accounted for an increase of right around 62%. So we saw a pretty significant increase there, which lets us know that people were using this service quite frequently. Now, unfortunately, it's really hard, wouldn't say impossible, but it takes a lot of resources to determine if it's a new rider, if it's an existing rider using it more, if it's somebody that stopped using it to come back. We don't have that information. It'd be great to have, but it's something that's really challenging to acquire, especially when you're talking, hundreds of thousands of people. So we're not sure if it was just more frequency of use or people came back, but regardless, it's a massive increase in ridership. It actually puts us very close to our pre-pandemic level, which was in August of 2019. We saw 307 or so thousand trips. So it's like a 1% to 2% difference. Might be important to note that typically from July to August, we do see a small increase in the number of trips. So it's not uncommon to have it go up a little bit, but it's typically about 3 to 4% looking the last 14 years. So ignoring this year and just the previous 14 years, it's been in the 3 to 4% range is what it averages out to. Actually, it kind of goes all over the place, but it averages out to that 3 to 4%. So yeah, great on fixed route. Paratransit also saw increases. We went from right around 7,800 trips in July up to 10,500. It did not come as close to pre-pandemic levels as our fixed route did, but it still saw a very large increase in the number of trips that were provided paratransit. We are obviously looking to compare September with this last month to see if people came back and what it looks like. The challenge we're going to see with this whole thing, though, is that we have had difference in service levels from September, looking back at August because of the service increase, but also from reductions in other areas. Don't know how that'll impact the numbers yet, but next month can definitely give some information on that. One of the other concerns that had kind of come up during the whole process of going fare free that I think was kind of common with transit systems across the country is, or what is generally a common concern with transit systems when you are free, is whether or not it attracts a large homeless crowd that tend to create issues. So one of our rules is end of the line, you have to get off. So we did have some internal concerns if people are just riding around because they're trying to stay cool on a hot day or a rainy day, they're trying to stay dry, whatever the case may be, that they would just ride around and not get off. That was unfounded. We only had, I believe, 3 incidences all month with somebody that refused to get off. That is not a problem as far as I'm concerned. So that issue was unfounded. As far as we're concerned, if you're homeless, take the bus wherever you want to go. I mean, it's for everybody. So there's not, the issue isn't the homeless using, it's the issue of not getting off at the end of the line and having some of those issues. We saw significantly less fare disputes. Obviously, there is no fare. We typically see a couple a day where somebody's refusing to pay the fare, bus stops, supervisor, police get involved, whatever the case may be. It's once, twice a day, somewhere in that range. So obviously none of that was going on. So we didn't want it to shift over to the other issue of people not getting up in the line. And ultimately we didn't have that issue. So very exciting program. We're still kind of crunching the numbers and we're still kind of seeing all the effects, but at least our first observations are when very well increased ridership and can't commit to it yet, but there's a good chance we'll be going for this same program next year. It does have availability for funding, I believe, through 2024. So what we'll be assessing what everything came up with for this last month and seeing if it makes sense for us to go next year. And we'll definitely update this committee if we go that route again. But I think, and I'll admit myself, was a skeptic of how many issues we would have. And this really changed kind of some of my thoughts on how this could work in the future. So coming from a skeptic, at least for me, that actually means something. It was an exciting program. And I got to say, I'm more excited now than when we first went into it. So for me personally, so yeah, it went very well.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacob. Yeah, you don't always think of the unintended consequences of things that can happen like that, where people ride it all day or, so that's awesome that there weren't a lot of issues like that. So.
And that's usually where my brain goes. So.
I don't think
so
like
that everything was virtually unfounded, at least for this 1 month. Now it's 1 month versus, if you do it all the time, but.
Sure. Yeah, they might catch on. I mean, maybe they're just not thinking that's even something they can do, but yeah, that's great. Well, we look forward, definitely give us an update next month to kind of let us know how that's going. And I'm glad that there's more funding for that in the future.
Sounds good. Yep.
Awesome.
And Jacob, I'm kind of curious, knowing that you can do this again next year. Have you guys had conversations about how to, kind of lessons learned already and opportunities to do more promotion, do more storytelling, do more engagement, in preparation for a year from now?
So yeah, definitely. Those conversations have been had. The difficulty this year, because one of the concerns and complaints we got is we didn't give enough notice. Well, the grant didn't come available until July.
Right.
So we couldn't give notice before we knew we got the grant. So that was part of the challenge we dealt with, which actually impacted our riders, particularly that got the 30-day passes and had already activated them. So we did get some complaints there. It wasn't a large amount. I actually anticipated more, but we got some pushback there. People wanting refunds, and we couldn't do it. And so we are looking at some of those things. Obviously, a promotional period would probably be longer next year as we would get more notice. Assumed we get more notice. CASTA is I believe was the agency that did this one. And it's not their fault. It's just they're the ones that were promoting it, and the ones we wrote the grant out to go for it. So I would hope for in the future we'll get be able to apply for it much earlier, so we can alert the public much earlier. And then we are definitely assessing this, looking from all different angles of what works, what could be improved, that kind of stuff, making those tweaks.
Because one of the things I'm thinking is that might be something that the mobility coordinating committee agencies can kind of rally around a little bit more, in the sense that, yes, a lot of providers in this, committee do specialized transit. So, very focused on that. However, I'm thinking that, like Laura and I, especially, and the Independence Center, can be thinking about our folks that could actually ride Mountain Metro, as well as paratransit too. But, and really think about promoting, a month, 2 months ahead, some specific rides that we actually do some coordinated efforts to get people on the bus, to get them to, go to a particular event in downtown, maybe go to the Fine Arts Center, or, kind of coordinate some activities where we get people to, ride their local transportation. We could work with a handful of older adults in their community. The cool part about Mountain Metro is people can call, and you guys have, at least you did, and I think you still have it. I haven't used it lately, but people can call and say, I want to get from my house to such and such location, and you have a person who can actually tell them what buses to ride and when to get on. And so we could kind of do a little bit of a coordinated effort there, possibly a project out of the MCC to say, let's have 10 older adults and people with disabilities actually really get on the bus and, ride it for free and do some coordinated, meetups in the community. And, maybe that can be a media story that gets told a little bit, from the perspective of, this group really working on that, and, having some media follow those older adults or people with disabilities and see how their ride works, and just kind of something fun to plant the seed for, planning come, mid-June, to be prepared to load people out and ride around in August. It would be kind of fun. So I'm going to append my calendar with Laura, but we'll see if MCC as a whole kind of embraces that, or we just kind of work on that.
Yep, that sounds good. And two things actually, and I don't know how long we'll go for it next year, if it'll just be a month. The grant is actually available for June, July, and August. which is ironic that we saw that getting the grant in July, but yeah, so there is the possibility of a longer. I don't know if that's, I mean, we still got to assess this for what we're doing, see what that looks like. The idea behind the grant was to have free transit during the ozone months while we had the highest ozone issues. So just want to put that little plug in there, but you know, in terms of the timing, we haven't decided yet what that looks like. On the other part, so great idea, getting a group together. We actually do have an individual here. I don't know if you ever met Elaine Sheridan. She's our kind of our public outreach individual. That we do, if we get a large enough group, we actually do like what you're referring to as kind of a travel training. Though yours sounds a little bit different than travel training because you're going to an event to stay. So it's a little bit different, but it's kind of along that similar vein. So yeah, if you're interested in doing that, I can get you in contact with her and I can assist as well. And we can see what we can pull together.
I think all of the above. So that would be really, I think kind of a neat thing to do and a good story. Hopefully the media would want to kind of follow that and can kind of show the, you know, path of how people are accessing transit who are watching the news and that they could do it. And, you know, yes, your mobility travel trainer person, you know, all of that getting a little bit more out there talking about it. Cool.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And I know Paul put in the chat box, he thinks that's a good idea too. So yeah, we'll all kind of rally behind that and see how we can help promote that. So action items for the next MCC meeting. We don't have anything specific. I know we are still the, what am I thinking? The chairs of the MCC. We're working on tweaking those bylaws, reviewing them. As we kind of mentioned, we might be taking maybe a look at having more of a less formal group where different individuals from our organizations can attend and maybe not have as much focus on that voting membership. But we're kind of just taking a look at that and working on that in the background. And then, yeah, we'll maybe have Invita next time. And so let us know if there's anything that you want to do or present, or we'll keep trucking forward. And then I know in December, we're still talking about doing the driver's recognition. So be thinking about the folks that you want to acknowledge and how we're kind of playing that. So anything else from anyone before we adjourn? It's short and sweet today. Any other comments?
Melissa, do you know what's the next step on this project for specialized transit needs assessment is?
I don't. So Laura is definitely the one, and she's on her, you know, anniversary vacation this week. Yeah, so unfortunately, I don't know, Paul. So stay tuned though. She'll be sending out emails as soon as she's back to round everybody back up and keep it moving.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that we have actually, is she back? Is she still gone? Because I have something on my calendar tomorrow, the Tri-County Study Funding Opportunities Resource Guide Overview from 1:30 to 2:30. So maybe that's a oopsie.
I think that might be different because that's the Tri-County
okay.
study, which that's the part where our transportation department upstairs was coordinating more of that Tri-County study. So I'm hoping that that is still happening and that that's, you know, kind of that, you know, they were kind of going a little bit neck and neck there. The needs assessment was specifically El Paso County only focused, whereas that Tri-County was a little bit bigger. So hopefully that is, I'm interpreting that correctly and that there is going to be a meeting. Laura won't be there. But our folks upstairs will be kind of facilitating that conversation.
Okay, thank you. That makes more sense that she might not be there, but she planned that. So, okay. Awesome. Well, if there's nothing else, I'm really glad you all attended today and thank you for the updates. And we'll see you back here in October. So we're going to adjourn at 9:58. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful week. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.